Hello and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. My guest today is Lisa Redding. Lisa is a serial entrepreneur with a serious zest for life. Her experience of perimenopause has been largely a continuous run of urinary tract infections. We met up so I could find out more.
It is lovely to meet you.
And you!
Tell us a bit about yourself then, Lisa.
I'm an entrepreneur. I've built and sold several businesses along the way. So always been in sort of aviation hospitality. I used to deal with a lot of VIPs and celebrities. So that's really been my life for the last 20 years. I built 3 businesses in that time. And I've got a daughter who is 18. She's just turned 18. She's amazing, but treading the floorboards with how to deal with a older teenager. So that's been quite a challenge. I live with my partner, who is absolutely amazing. So we live part of our time in Buckinghamshire, part of our time in Hampshire. So we go between the two. Yeah, just enjoying life. For the last couple of years, I've been slowing down a bit. So I'm doing a lot of non-exec work now, and I'm a mentor as well. So I help people with their business side and things, which is great fun. And really slowed down on the business side. So I would be working ridiculous hours running your business, 7 days a week. And we were working in different time zones. So we were working late at night with the States and early up with Asia, and then we try and grab Europe in between. So it was really quite full on. So my life has changed now. It's slightly slower. If I say slower, it's not. It's busy, but I'm involved with projects that I can help people, which I love doing. I love mentoring. That really gives me some satisfaction. The menopause, oh my gosh, where do I begin? So about a year ago, I started to get recurrent water infections. And at the time, I'd met my partner actually, so we were out partying quite a lot. We were having a great time actually. But I kept thinking, oh my God, we've had like a school night drink or something. You'd wake up and you think, God, we've got these recurrent UTIs. What's going on? Why am I getting them? And so I guess probably for about a year, I struggled with that and had to do so much research behind why I was getting these recurrent UTIs and why when I went to the doctor and they prescribed me some low tablets to take, because obviously it would flare up if you had sex or if you had drinking, it would just be a flare up. Mm-hmm. Why have I got these UTIs? So anyway, after probably about 6 months, 7 months, Sophie and I actually had a conversation. I'd be saying, we went into a bit more detail about menopause, and she said, oh God, I've had this dry vagina. I went, oh my God, could that be part of what's causing this for me? So we had a very long conversation, and we spoke about vagina moisturizers. And I suppose the thing that happens to you is you don't have a light bulb moment. Nobody says to you, well, do you know what, this is the menopause. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, and I'm in the perimenopause at the moment, but you don't think that it's actually the menopause. There's lots of things that start happening to you that actually you can't puzzle together. So I then had a conversation with Sophie's sister-in-law, which is Levin, who had exactly the same symptoms that I did. And actually it was a bit of a relief, because she said to me, I think it's either the menopause or you have got a chronic UTI or an embedded UTI, which is an infection that gets embedded into your bladder. And any antibiotics that you use, you can't clear it. It needs a different type of treatment, which I'll go into. But anyway, I had this light bulb moment with Levin, and we started talking about vagina flora and looking after that whole piece down there and why it felt dry and why did it feel dry? Because all of a sudden, it's okay, then you're in a desert. You're thinking, oh my God, why am I feeling like this? I've been okay before. So anyway, I then resigned myself to the fact that I needed to talk to Newson Health. I wasn't getting any support from my GP. They did mention to me, if that's the case, then we'll prescribe Vagifem for you, which is pessary, estrogen pessary, which you put upside in your vagina, and that releases a very small amount of estrogen, which helps it down below, because when you're using topical HRT. You need something down there to really help it. So I think that was a real kind of light bulb moment. But actually, the GP service that I got was very poor. You were being passed to locums all the time. This was when we were in lockdown. So you were almost going from, you couldn't speak to a proper doctor. So then I decided to call Newson Health and got an amazing doctor called Dr. Charlie Bowen and went through my symptoms with her. So my situation's different, Hattie. I haven't got hot flushes, can't sleep at night, feel like I've got no motivation or I can't cope. I've got none of that. My symptoms have really just been these recurrent UTIs, which have made my life a misery, really, because it's been for a year where you just constantly keep getting infections. So really my take on the menopause is it's keeping that part of your body right so that you can't get all these infections. I think you do get to a point where you do feel quite tired, can get emotional because you're in a perimenopause, your hormones are going up and down. So,
Yes.
Your normal rant and rave that you get once a month feels slightly more up and down. So I would say your emotions can go to getting really angry, when you've got PMS, to then actually you could get it 1 week and then you'd have a period for 2 weeks and you don't have a period. So it is very much up and down. So then I started to do a lot of research on why I was getting this, because I think it's linked to obviously the perimenopause and everything down below and my body changing. So started to do quite a lot of research on UTIs and why I was getting that and why nobody was talking about vagina atrophy, which is actually a dry vagina. And everybody that you talk to, it's not spoken about. It was only Sophie and I, which we had a nutty Friday afternoon that we were laughing our heads off, that we could have that conversation. But some people you can't talk about, have you got a dry vagina? Because it's not really something that you talk about.
The name alone, vagina atrophy, sounds horrendous. It's not a pretty phrase. And I think a lot of people find that a bit off-putting.
Oh, I know. It is. It's awful, actually. Really awful. And I was thinking about this yesterday with the menopause. I think people are just feel like they failed.
I think there is an awful lot of shame carried with menopause, with any kind of physical aspect of life, particularly for women. It's something that needs to change because there is nothing shameful about it. It might feel awkward. It might feel as though you're losing control occasionally, and it might feel a little bit embarrassing because of the lack of control. And you think, I'm 48, I should know how to do this. Or 40, that's my thought. There you go, 48, still don't know how to manage everything.
No, I know, exactly. I think it is. It's that whole, there are so many, and everybody's completely different, aren't they? If you've got girlfriends, and I've got some that won't talk and some that will talk, but, that will talk about the whole thing. And you've got partners that are getting involved. Well, it's good because people need to talk about it, which is great that you're doing this. It's awesome because people are just not talking about it or see it as a failure at the moment. And women suffer, goodness knows what they've done for so many years, but they suffer in silence. So it's painful to have sex, it feels sore, all of those things, and you get recurrent UTIs from it. So yes, I think that's where I came to the point where I needed to actually sort myself out, and it came from nowhere. But I now take HRT. I have 2 pumps a day and I use the gel because it actually feels like a body moisturiser. So when I get out of the shower, I just rub it in. Mm-hmm. Not a big fan of the patches just because I don't think I'd want anything there every day. And I use Vagifem, which is a small pessary, estrogen pessary, which you put upside in your vagina and it releases estrogen. It's great. So I think that could be a game changer for women. I had to do so much research myself and talk to experts. I'd have never have known anything about it. So I'm a big talker and that's who I am. And my friends are real talkers. But there have been several occasions where I've tried to bring it up. One of my friends said, I'm going to try and go through it naturally. I don't believe that we should take anything. That's what women have done for hundreds of years, so I'm going to do the same. Another lady just couldn't talk about it, and I got the feeling she was going to try and cope on her own. I think women just don't want to talk about it. They see it as a failure, and it's not. Women need to realise that their body, as they get older and they go through the menopause, lacks estrogen. That's the thing that's going to make you feel much better inside.
Mm-hmm.
And replacing it. And, I had a conversation yesterday. They talked to me about testosterone. So if your libido's gone, or you've got bad moods, or you feel really like you've got no motivation, then that's what you take. It's what we're made up. People think that testosterone is a man's hormone, but it's not. Our ovaries are made up with testosterone. So that's something else that needs replacing. Of course, you can't get it on the NHS. It's only men that can get testosterone through the NHS. So that's another thing that needs to be brought out into the public sector so that people can go and buy it. But it's private, which is really annoying.
It's private and it's harder to get hold of because it's not licensed in this country. It used to be, but it's not anymore. I heard a horror story the other day about somebody going to their GP and asking for testosterone, and they said, "What, do you want to be a man?" No understanding.
It's doctors, and this is where Newson Health is starting to work through their charity and then starting to get the doctors out. You should at least have one doctor that's trained in the menopause.
Yes.
I think it's a shocker. And on the other side, and I know this is not the menopause side, but actually on the side of the recurrent UTIs, I actually ended up going to a specialist in Harley Street. He's a top professor for UTIs, and he's amazing. But the testing that he's trying to get changed, and it's going through all sorts of government, and the process is so long, is when you go to your doctor and they say, can you take a sample and dip the stick and then you'll know if you've got an infection. Most of the time, they're not correct. Most of the time, they'll show that you haven't got an infection when you have, because it could be embedded.
Right.
So he has got an amazing testing equipment that can tell you where you are and whether you've got an infection. It's an amazing piece of equipment. But if you're a woman with vaginal atrophy, you're going through the menopause, you're getting these recurrent UTIs, and you're just being given antibiotics left, right, and centre by your doctor, and then they're telling you you haven't got an infection, actually mentally, with everything going on, that can really affect people. I'm hoping he'll push it through so that women have the opportunity to be properly tested and then be given proper antibiotics, which in my case is long-term antibiotics.
Have you had to change anything in your lifestyle to enhance your transition through menopause?
Enhance. So I take probiotics, obviously, because I'm on long-term antibiotics, so they're great. And I drink kefir. I mean, I'm pulling the face now, which is gross. But, the flavoured kefirs are quite nice. So just keeping your gut flora healthy and thinking about taking a menopause multivitamin tablet, which covers all of the good things that you're supposed to have in the menopause. But I think you have to come to a realisation, and, where you start thinking, I'm not in my early 40s anymore. I'm not in my late 30s, or I'm not in my 20s. I can't just go for a run and then not feel it the next day. You need to take a proper amount of time out to give yourself a look at your health.
Yeah.
Your whole holistic view of what you're doing health-wise. So what are you eating? What are you exercising? What else can you take to make you feel better? I've had to do it in bits and pieces. And I can imagine if you're running a job, you're running a house, you've got teenage children, or you haven't, or you're just manic, trying to sit down and work out where to go and what to do. The information is not out there properly yet. So, if you're sat down in an evening, you've had your dinner, and then you're trying to look through the research on the internet, it's hard work. Having information, clear information on a site would be really useful for him. I mean, just to go, this is how I'm feeling. And then to click on it and think, oh gosh, yes, that is the menopause.
There is a great website called My Menopause Centre. And I interviewed Helen Normoyle, who's one of the founders of it, a few weeks ago. She was fantastic. And they do have a place where you can look at all the symptoms, and they give you information on them. The difficulty is that some of the symptoms may not be perimenopause or menopause. The thing is, again, though, like you said, there's no one light bulb. It's not, oh, you've broken your leg. I know I've broken my leg. Fix it. It's kind of a drip feed of many symptoms, and they vary so widely.
And they do. And I think it is really hard. It's not a one size fits all. We're all different. We've all got different bodies. You can't go, oh, well, they're the 3 symptoms, so this is what I take, and then it will clear up. And I think it just comes upon you, and I can imagine it can, as in my case, it creeps up on you. So you're not really aware, but you're feeling quite emotional, a bit grotty, Am I tired? Has it been COVID? Has it been this? And I think people need to be aware of how their body is feeling and then taking a real view of what they need to do to really enhance their lives. And for me, having estrogen and having HRT, I don't think it's actually helped me in me. And I know it's helped a lot of women with sleeping and motivation. I don't think that's helped, but I think hopefully in time it will start to help with everything that's going on down in the vagina area, because I don't think I would be on it if I didn't have these issues at the moment.
Have you spoken to your daughter about it at all?
I have, yes. And I'm very aware of talking to her about it and talking to her about water infections and UTIs and protecting yourself and making sure that area is, for instance, we had a conversation the other day and she said, I think I'm using too much shower gel everywhere, Mum, and maybe I'm feeling a bit itchy down below. And I'm, actually, you need to be aware of in your vagina, you've got to balance a pH balance, and putting loads of shower gel on, you need to be aware of it. So it's just little bits of making them aware of their health really can help. My mum's great. She's brilliant. She obviously went through the menopause and had HRT patches and is very open. But I know a lot of people of that generation, my mum's 71, people in that generation are not very open. I think a lot of women that are in the public spotlight need to be coming out, because that's who if you go on your Instagram or you're going on anywhere that you're looking, those people are real trailblazers. My aim in the menopause when I get there is to be as attractive, as fit, as sexy when I'm 50, and I'm not going without fight. And I think women need to feel like that, not that they're going to be dried up prunes that don't look after themselves. Being vibrant, 50, 55, even if it's earlier on, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to own, and there is help out there. But I think we need to do more to help women.
Thank you.
Oh, lovely to meet you, Hattie. Brilliant.
You too.
Keep doing that.
Lisa.
Really inspirational. Take care. Lots of love, darling.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want to find out more or share your own experience, please drop us an email to hattie@realmenopausetalk.com. Follow us on Instagram and the podcast apps to stay up to date, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.